Hi everyone, I'm Shelly from There's No Place Like Home at redheadmom8.wordpress.com. I'm not particularly known for someone who is sympathetic to the public education system, and most of you probably already are aware of that. And yeah, today I'm going to hit on that a little bit more because it's something that I've been seeing coming up a bit. And you know me, if I see something that keeps coming up and it's something that I'm passionate about, I'm going to talk about it here. So yeah, today I'm going to talk to you parents and explain to you why public school should be your last resort. You know, since we have all grown up in this era of school, you know, a lot of parents send their kids to public school by default. And I'm not going to claim, you know, that I'm better than that because I sent my kids to public school by default. I honestly, at the time when my oldest son started school, I had no idea that homeschooling was even a thing. I had never even heard of it. I actually didn't hear of it for the first time until my third oldest was a baby. So it's not like I'm saying to you, how dare you ever think about sending your kids to school. But homeschooling is something that is a lot more in the limelight now, and it's something that a lot more people are starting to be aware of. And today I just want to talk to you about how, as parents, you really need to think about the choices that you make when it comes to your children. And you know, I'm especially going to be talking to those parents who consider themselves red-pilled. That's like the new buzzword is being red-pilled, which is basically being awake to all of the lies that we have been told pretty much for generations. So this is especially to parents like that, parents who do know what's going on. Because what I am seeing a lot is that people who are aware of the lies that we're being told, people who are aware of the manipulation that is going on through the government, through the media, through so many other sources, they are still sending their kids to the public school institution, which people claim to know that the public education system is corrupt. You know, it's ineffective at education, although it's great at indoctrination, and it's completely unnatural. You know, how many times have you heard parents who are sending their kids off to kindergarten for the first time say, oh, I feel such an emptiness, I just want to cry all day. That's because children should not be separated from their parents, especially at that young of an age. And you know, I came across a really great comparison. I was watching a video where someone was narrating some things that John Taylor Gatto was saying, and I miss that man. Not that I ever knew him, but I wish he were still here with us. But anyway, one of the things that he said, and I actually read this in one of his books, is, would you trust a stranger with your car? If someone would knock on your door right now and say to you, hey, can I borrow your car for the day? Would you just give it to them? Probably not. I don't know of anybody who actually would say, yeah, go ahead, take my car. But isn't that what we do with our children? Except to a far greater extent. We are literally, at the age of 5, sometimes earlier, handing our children over to strangers to be educated, to be raised. Not to say that these teachers are all bad, but when it comes down to it, well, first I want to add, because I always get people saying, oh, you shouldn't pick on teachers. I'm not picking on teachers. Some of the greatest people in my life are teachers or former teachers. And a lot of times the teachers are as much victims of the system as the students themselves are. But yes, you are sending your kids off to basically be with strangers all day long. And while you might think that your child's teacher is awesome and the best, and they very well could be, the fact is that you don't really know them personally. You don't really know the sorts of things that they're trying to instill in your children. And you know, if you look at all of these stories of predatory style teachers who are preying on the students and getting into inappropriate relationships with them. You know, this is something that it's not unheard of. It happens. And another great comparison that I actually heard from, I actually heard on the video by John Taylor Gatto is basically, if you hire someone to build a house, if you hire a contractor to build a house, you are going to get some sort of plan from them, and then they are going to be held accountable for if anything ever goes wrong. That is not the case for when your kids go to school. That is not the case for teachers. If something ends up going wrong with your children academically, educationally, emotionally, anything related to school down the road, there is no one that has to answer to you. And this is your child. And so I just really want to encourage people to start looking in to keeping your kids home with you. Because I know, yes, there are private schools, there are charter schools, and they are certainly a step up from the public education system. Well, charter schools, not so much, because I've heard some not good things about them because they basically have no oversight at all. I don't know enough about that to talk about that now. Hopefully I'll bring it up another time. But anyway, you know, while private schools, we'll just say private schools for now, while they are definitely a step up from public schools, you still are back to that situation where you don't know what that teacher is really like. You don't know what sorts of morals are being instilled into your child at school, whether it's through, you know, the curriculum, whether it's through the teacher's own personal preferences of how they want to present things. And, you know, a lot of times we tend to look at this as a Christian and secular point of view. But the fact is that you don't have to be a Christian to realize that the things that are being taught in schools are dangerous. You might not be against it religion-wise, but surely morally, ideologically, sometimes politically, because yes, they are bringing politics into these school assignments. I can't even count now how many times I've seen photos online of homework assignments that were blatantly political and blatantly attacking one side while putting another side on a pedestal. And this is happening all the time. And the thing is that, you know, especially with people who claim that they know how bad school is, but they still send their kids to school anyway, because they say that they deprogram them when they're at home. They say, oh, well, I talk about, you know, the truth with my kids when they're at home, and I instill these things in them. And you know what? That might work with some kids. But the fact is that kids are impressionable. They're at school all day long, every single day. They have peers that they want to fit in with. They have teachers that they likely want to like them, you know? And so you having these little talks here and there to counteract the things that they're learning in school, are you really willing to take that risk? Because if you think about it, a lot of parents literally spend a tiny fraction of the amount with their kids that the kids spend in school. And that's honestly the truth, because even if kids don't go to after school programs, which a lot of kids do nowadays, they either go to after school programs, they go to sports, there's something that kids are going to after school. But even if they don't have that, don't forget, kids have to bring that work home with them. They've got hours of homework usually. And then there's chores. And so really, at best, a family will have a couple hours a night together. Is that enough to counteract 6, 7, sometimes 8 hours a day of indoctrination at these public schools? And you know, I really want to read to you a quote by Charles Francis Potter. He was the author of Humanism, A New Religion. You may have heard this quote before, but when I read this to you, he's talking about Sunday school and religion. I want you to just substitute in, if you are not a Christian, if you are not a religious person, you can substitute in morals, you can substitute in ideological things. It doesn't have to be about religion when it comes to this quote, but I just want you to listen to this because he knows. He knows. And now I should say he knew, because I think he passed away in like 1965 or so. Listen to this quote. Again, Charles F. Potter, author of Humanism, A New Religion, which if you were at my last live stream, you will know that, yeah, secular humanism is the religion of the schools. They cannot say that they don't have a religion. They do. It's called secular humanism. But anyway, let's read this quote. Education is thus a most powerful ally of humanism, and every public school is a school of humanism. What can the theistic Sunday school, meeting for an hour once a week and teaching only a fraction of the children, do to stem the tide of a 5-day program of humanistic teachings? Isn't that what I just said? That those couple hours a week that you have with your kids trying to deprogram them, how effective is it going to be? And honestly, is that really what you want to spend all of your time together with your kids, is trying to break them out of whatever nonsense they are being taught in these schools? Is that really what you want to spend your time doing? The fact is that children belong with their parents. Compulsory schooling, you know, it has only been around for, I forget exactly how much, but I think someone said 2% of all of history has compulsory schooling been in place. And if you think about it, 1860s was about the time that compulsory school laws took effect. So this isn't like it's always been like this. Children were usually home with their parents, and the literacy rate was higher before compulsory school laws took effect. Go figure. Parents were able to teach their children how to read at a better rate that even today they learn in schools. So it's not like this is some unheard of thing. You do not have to send your kids to public school. Do you have to go through the proper avenues in order to do it legally? Of course. You know, most states do have some sort of homeschool laws. Well, I should say all states do, because it's legal in all 50 states. I'm speaking of the United States, of course, but I believe it's Oklahoma, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that actually has it written into the Constitution. But yeah, if you go through the legal channels, you do not have to send your kids to public school. So you don't have to use this default mechanism anymore. And, you know, in closing, I just wanted to remind all of you, how many times are we told it takes a village to raise a child? It takes a village to raise a child. You see that over and over and over again, and Hillary Clinton even wrote a book about it. But that quote, it takes a village to raise a child, that actually is a quote that has communist roots. And I'm going to tell you the truth of it right now. It does not take a village to raise a child. It takes a family. And that's all that I have for you today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed yet and would like to hear more of what I have to say, I would love if you would do that. If you have any questions or comments, you can leave them down below. And if you like my work and would like to support me on Patreon, I will leave the link in the description box. And I hope you have a great day.